This episode was absolutely incredible. From the composition, the animation, voice acting, so on and so forth. I am so hyped to continue talking about Suca's rampage in Shibuya. However, at the same time, we also need to talk about later in this video the insane work conditions that JJK Season 2 is under, to the point where I'm questioning if this season will even be finished and if MAPPA as a studio will even exist at all. So let's break down the episode and so much more. If you love JJK, Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, or One Piece, then subscribe and drop a like. We cover all sorts of anime news and content here, so help support my channel. After all, we're only just under 300 subs away from 96,000 subscribers, so close to 100k. So the episode picks up after Jogo's defeat with a voice telling Itadori that he is strong and to help go save others. No doubt this is the beginning of Itadori taking over his body once again, which happens later in the episode. However, as this is happening, Megumi is bleeding out as Haruta is gloating. He eventually falls over, which, I mean, it's just brutal to look back and see all the blood he's leaving behind. Though while he's stumbling, Megumi is simply talking out loud, and it's not until you realize that he's telling Haruta that if you talk shit, you get hit. The long of it is that Megumi's 10 Shadows technique begins when they receive/inherit the two divine dogs. So to use other Shikigami than that, they need to be summoned and then defeated by the sorcerer with the help of those divine dogs. It's like something straight out of Persona. In this turn, this allows the user to gain even more Shikigami. So in theory, by repeating this process over and over, eventually Megumi was able to amass 10 different Shikigami, or at least up to that amount. Despite Megumi telling him this, Haruta just feels he is stalling. Trust me, dude, he's not. Now, to tag on to this, and this is the crazy part, people can help with this exorcism ritual, but the trade-off is that it will eventually nullify the technique once the respective Shikigami is defeated. Usually, this means that it's just an exorcism which is pointless, right? Well, in this situation in particular, well, it has its uses. Especially to Megumi, who is bleeding out, and Haruta trying to kill him. Interestingly, we are then given a flashback to some time in the past when Gojo explained to Megumi why the Gojo family and the Zenin family hate each other so much. Turns out that hundreds of years ago in the Keicho period, that's a long time ago, the heads of each house killed each other in what it seems to me a battle royale or like a killing game of sorts. The Zenin family possessed the 10 Shadows technique, the Gojo family Limitless and 6 Eyes, and what's crazy is that Gojo tells him all of this because he believes that Megumi has the potential to be at Gojo's level one of these days. And I like this scene because it beautifully juxtaposes itself with Gojo telling Megumi he's potentially this great warrior who can be on the levels of Gojo to this weak boy who is bleeding out and cornered by freaking Haruta of all people. God, I fucking hate Haruta. So this goes to show the headspace that Megumi is in. How can he be on the level of Gojo if he can't defeat Haruta or even realize his presence? How can he be great when this old crazy dude who randomly attacked him and asked him his name and seppuku'd himself in front of him is, well, actually, I never thought of it that way. I guess to Megumi, that was really just a strange and random moment, wasn't it? Anyways, you get my point. But the worst happens, as after defeating Jogo, he's talking to Urame, but he feels something is amiss, and so he leaves Urame behind. Oh man, and you know stuff is about to go down here. Basically, Megumi, due to the exorcism ritual, summons one of the most powerful Shikigami that no 10 Shadows technique user has ever been able to exercise, Mahaga, aka, and get ready for this, 8-handled sword divergent Sela divine general. But you can call him Ted. The animation here was killer, by the way. The composition of these shots is nothing but incredible. I love the way Mahaga broke from its restraints. Reminds me of some like classic 90s anime and the way it was presented with those threads. Super cool. So this is Megumi's final stand, as now Haruta, I hate him so, faces off against the unbeatable Mahaga. Bleeding out, Megumi passes on as he proclaims himself to be the first to go and apologizes to Yuji, but just as this happens, Mahaga hits Megumi, sending his body into a building. Then Sukuna arrives before Mahaga is able to end Haruta, makes the save and rescues him. He realizes that Megumi is in a suspended state of death and that Sukuna was right to save Haruta as he was dragged into this ritual. And this is because if Haruta dies, then Megumi dies as well, which Sukuna can't have happen because he needs Megumi for something. What that is? No clue. I mean, I do have a clue. I know what he wants, but I'm not going to tell you that. Duh. So Sukuna realizes that to save Megumi, he'll need to defeat the Shikigami, and I don't care at all what Gege wanted me to think here. We saw what he did to Jogo. I mean, this is a piece of cake for him. Plus, if he defeats Mahoraga, it'll avoid the ritual, which he wants anyway, so yeah. This is just an awesome excuse for a cool-ass fight, isn't it? The first hit by Mahoraga lands, and it shatters window panes and breaks the ground. But Sukuna, after sending Mahoraga into a building, he grabs some snacks, which is funny because you know Sukuna is so powerful that he can absolutely get away with something like this. But even so, Mahoraga launches more attacks as they scale the sides of office buildings in seconds as if it were nothing. I even think at one point he uses the popcorn as a weapon in one of the shots. I'm not sure what happened there. But I love when they scale the building and we see the giant Mahoraga T-pose upon Sukuna as he blocks it and then just breathes in, sending out these big breaths back out at Sukuna. But the fight doesn't let up as Sukuna and Mahoraga trade punches over and over as they oro, only for Sukuna to match his speed and intensity. Then like something out of Spider-Man, Sukuna wraps Mahoraga around a pillar and sends him into a parking lot. Taking advantage of this, he then shoots out dozens of cars at Sukuna in some of the smoothest and craziest animation I've seen since, well, last week's episode. But Sukuna blocks all of the cars and sends a slash at Mahoraga, which for a moment slices its face, but it heals. Oh. I love this next part though. As this is happening, it focuses on Haruta, Megumi, and the others in Shibuya as they hear the sounds of battle as these two beasts fight. I mean, imagine being in this situation. I would be scared. I would. Haruta, though, nearly gets crushed by a car, which, let's be real, should have been him. Honestly, should have been there. But once again, the battle rages on despite its brief respite as buildings in a split second are sliced in half like a hot knife through butter. Remember those videos on YouTube, by the way? Seriously, these animators are amazing. Much love to them. Sukuna then shoots multiple blasts from his palm into Mahoraga, and just as it's down, it gets back up and attacks Sukuna only for him to block it with his mouth? Neck? That was a sentence I said. But the fight then kicks into an even higher gear as the music starts playing, and you know it's about to get good when JJK plays some music over their fights. But construction equipment is destroyed, buildings are dragged down into rubble, Shibuya's trains are ripped from their homes and sent flying into the air as weapons by Mahoraga, but still, Sukuna destroys them all as Mahoraga grows to the size of buildings itself. Even so, Sukuna is unperturbed as citizens scream in horror of the feats they're witnessing. They like me, for real. So Mahoraga takes the chunk of a building, rips it off, and throws it at Sukuna as all around him Sukuna is witness to rubble and a jetliner falling before him, burning, falling through the air as Sukuna lands a sick dab, by the way. Absolutely heartrending this fight is. But even so, Mahoraga is sent into a pool of water as he then sucks it in and spits it right back out as we are treated to this Evangelion-like scene with beautiful reds as buildings are hovering around Sukuna as he looks down upon him, and you just know at that moment, Mahoraga is as good as dead as all you hear is Sukuna's laugh and exposition. Sukuna uses domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, holy crap. I am hyped just watching this and describing it, and being able to experience it was a true gift. I mean, what an amazing fight, even better than Jogo and Sukuna, I think. But Malevolent Shrine is unlike any other technique as it doesn't separate space from its barriers. Instead, it manifests one's innate domain without closing its barrier, which is basically similar to painting a masterpiece on air without a canvas. As well, it's divided into two types of attacks, dismantle and cleave, which the latter can be used and adjusted to cut down literally anyone standing before Sukuna in just one slash. Absolutely insane. As well, its guaranteed hit is a whopping 200 meter radius. So in just a split second, Mahaga is disintegrated and regenerates, as everything else in that 200 meters along with it is disintegrated. This is the only way to defeat Mahaga. Nothing more, nothing less. Kill it with a foreign attack again and again so it can't adapt. Not even Mahaga's regeneration can withstand it, as everything in that 200 meter radius literally turns into a cherry red and melts as this titanic explosion is released that would even make Oppenheimer blush, or the military-industrial complex for that matter. All the while you realize that just for a split second we see Itadori. He just realized what Sukuna did. Thankfully though, Sukuna is now my favorite of all time, as after the blast he kills Haruta. Honestly, you guys, Sukuna may not be that bad of a dude. I mean, maybe we should be more understanding, you know? During this, however, Megumi is returned to Shoko and Masamichi, meaning that Megumi may not die after all due to Shoko's healing abilities. Finally, though, Itadori regains control over his body as he sees everything before him in horror. He recounts in just a split second what Sukuna did in his body as he vomits up the contents of his stomach, dragging his nails across the pavement with a cringe-inducing noise. Ugh. He yells out that he should die. And honestly, I truly fear for Itadori's mind at this point, as there is no way this doesn't affect him. And while the opening plays out, honestly, I don't think that was the best choice to use the insert music here, but that's just me. I thought this was a weak part of the episode, just because of that music. We see the wake of destruction Sukuna has left before them in Shibuya. So basically, Itadori tells himself that he must keep fighting, because if he doesn't continue onward, then he is nothing but a murderer. Basically, break it down like this. If what he's saying is that he doesn't keep going and gives up here, it'll all be for nothing. He must avenge basically everyone who Sukuna killed in his own body in all of these moments. Then of course, the episode ends with, no, it's not Two-Face, but Daddy Nanami. I have a feeling he's not going to be too happy about, you know, all of that. Holy mother of God. This episode of Jujutsu Kaisen was even better than the last one, in my opinion, mostly because I felt the composition and art was more on point than the last episode, which I felt was kind of lacking in that one. This episode, however, had literally everything I want from Jujutsu Kaisen. World-class art, world-class animation, world-class production from the greatest animators and artists in the industry right now. So I just want to say, fuck you, Mappa, fuck you. Because how could any of you soulless suits see this animation and see what these people produce and you want to treat them like nothing but cattle for your production? This is the lifeblood of your studio. Not the money, not the management. It's these animators that you are, in some instances, driving to suicidal ideation that make people excited for this production. Shame. Absolute shame. I hope that one day management gets what is coming to them, because it will, one day. There is no excuse for this schedule. There is no excuse for productions like JJK Zero, which was made in just 4 months when it should have taken 3 years, and Chainsaw Man being made in less than a calendar year. If you haven't already, send out some love to these hardworking men and women if you follow them on Twitter. Let them know how much their hard work means to you. Don't think Mappa. Think the people out there actually putting in the hard work. This episode was absolutely amazing and a work of art, and I think that deserves to be recognized from people like Hakuya Go, Kazuta Arai, Itsuki Tsuchigami, and so many others. I don't exactly know what to say more than that. I'm just disappointed in their treatment, is all. I want to thank everyone for last week's JJK video, as it got nearly 43,000 views. Guys, that's immense. I don't think I've ever gotten a JJK video to this amount of views. So without you guys, that would not be possible. I mean, over 1,600 likes, nearly 300 new subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support and love, and I appreciate it all. So if you're new, check out my other JJK content and the other stuff I've done as well. I know you won't regret it. Thank you. Financially support the channel by becoming a patron, where you'll gain access to my mega One Piece arc reviews and first impressions. Thank you for your support. Bye-bye.